the most beneficent and the most merciful. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Akhtar Chima for giving me this opportunity to come and share my views here. And I would also like to be grateful for him and to invite me in this ceremony where the regional director of IUCN, Dr. Dindo, is the chief guest, and he has given so much of what IUCN is doing at the global arena, apart from what at the Asian level. Having listened to Fawzia Sahiba with regard to the overall scheme of things under the plan, that is the climate change GAP plan, I should say that as a matter of fact, the 7 or 8 important areas in a 6 objective timeline, you have really done something which we are required to take care of under the ambit of 3 or 4 of our national policies. That is the National Climate Change Policy, National Water Policy, and probably the National Food Security Policy. At the moment, our various policies are devoid of the in gender aspect, or you can say that they are good policies, but the gender aspect is not fully taken care of. I was in the morning talking to one of my friends here, and I was thinking that I'm going to raise this issue, although I'm from the government sector. But this is all the more important that now, when more than 50% of our population was affected during the 2010 floods, and there were about 39 to 40 million people affected, 10, 11, 12, and 14 floods, and of which what statistics that I have got is more than 52 or 53% were the women and the girl child. So this is the high time that all our national policies and then their implementation frameworks, and then finally whatever the project that we are going to take out of those policies and frameworks, those should have a very, you can say, concise, effective gender aspect, fully, you can say, mainstreamed into them. Just tomorrow we are holding a sort of a workshop on development of national water policy implementation framework, and we have kept 3, you can say, themes. Number 1 is water governance, number 2, water management and conservation, and number 3 is water resource development. I think that all these 3 thematic areas have much more room for them to consider mainstreaming gender aspects into that. May I also propose from this, you can say, podium that IUCN, when they have taken lead in the development of first ever, you can say, the climate change gender action plan through the financing of GCF and under the auspices of Ministry of Climate Change, they should come forward and let's join hand together towards that. And I'm going to inshallah talk to my secretary Sahab as well. Let's join hands together for climate change, national water policy, and national food security policy together, and how well the gender aspects are mainstreamed to them, so that whatever the national frameworks we are going to prepare for their implementation, those are fully encompassing all the aspects. Let's not forget that in 1991, when there was a big cyclone in Bangladesh, and about 91% of the affected people were basically the women. Thereafter, the women empowerment and women gender equality aspect was brought in the design of cyclone shelters, early warning systems, and the provision of, you can say, community services and all that. And that had improved to a tremendous amount with regard to development of their resilience from any natural disaster. With regard to Pakistan, I think that we are although moving forward, but we are far behind in achieving that. And please take me as one of the volunteers towards that. And Ministry Ministry of Water Resources, although we are engaged in mega development in development of mega projects and all that, it will be a voice from outside, and probably from an organization like IUCN and maybe other similar organizations. But since you have a global presence, let's join hands together, let's raise this voice, let me be with you towards that, because in the end, the drought-like situation prevailing in the country 1998 to 2003, and then the floods of 2010 and onwards, all those areas have very clearly brought out the miseries of women and girl child, and how well those miseries can be converted into their mainstreaming into development and the economic sectors of the country in all policy planning aspects, in all projects and all that, is the need of the hour. Let me quote in the end one simple example. In 2006-2007, we were implementing a project of Asian Development Bank, and one of the component of that project was community participation, and that was basically put into that project with the reason that whenever a certain flood protection intervention is put on ground, the communities living on both sides or either side of the river or any, you can say, nala, they are not consulted. By virtue of that exercise, so much of good that started happening there, that the future operation and maintenance of that particular infrastructure in the form of flood embankments were taken care of by the local people, and a big majority of that were the local women. So my request would be that let's join hand together towards this, and specifically for the water sector, when we have said that we are going to reduce our losses by 33% at least by 2030. We are building water resources to the tune of 10 million acre feet, and we are talking about putting in place